All right. I believe we're live. We'll get just a second to load up and confirm everything's good on my end.
Awesome. Live streams. I haven't done a live stream in a while.
They're fun. We get some audience interaction. All right, yeah, everything's looking good on my end. So, guys, thank you for joining us for the live stream tonight. We're joined by Ben from Seller Candy. He's going to talk about the services that they offer, and we'll kind of have a guided conversation for a bit. But anytime you guys have questions, put those in the chat, and we can pause and get them answered for you. Ben, thanks for joining. Do you want to kick it off? Just kind of tell us who you are and Seller Candy, what it does.
Sure. Yeah. Thanks for having me, Logan. Thanks for everyone who's here watching today. So a little bit about myself. I've been in the e-commerce space. I want to say it's been like 6 years now, maybe 6.5 years now. Kind of done all kinds of different things. But today, my full-time gig is I head up sales and marketing for Seller Candy. And essentially what Seller Candy does is we provide outcome-driven support for Amazon sellers to deal with all of the really annoying things that come up as you're selling on Amazon. We know there's quite a few of those, right? It could be everything from like help with an inactive listing that Amazon's maybe search suppressed, or if you're having buy box issues, in some cases there's glitches we can take care of and help get you the buy box back for you, all the way over to the account health side of things. So IP complaints, appeals, suspensions, all that kind of stuff. So we rely on our team of about 50 agents, which are mostly ex-Amazon seller support staff members. We also do have some people that have come from working previously with agencies. And essentially, we then lend them out to act as an extension of your team. So this is kind of the service that I wish I used to have when I was just an Amazon seller or when I was working at an agency in the past. So for me, now it's fun because I just get to spend all day, every day talking to Amazon sellers and telling them about this as a solution, right? So, yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, what I really like about you guys is you can handle really a wide variety of problems, and I really like your ticketing system. As far as I know, it's really unique. So basically, you can explain it more, but basically, any issue that you guys have come up, you create a ticket in Seller Candy, and you can kind of prioritize it for what you want them to be focusing on. And yeah, it's a really nice user interface. Then maybe you can elaborate a bit more on how the system works.
Yeah, so the way what we were trying to do when John, who's our founder, when he started Seller Candy, he was trying to take away kind of this, or trying to meet the market in terms of having kind of an in-between point for those people who don't necessarily want or need an agency, or maybe they want an agency that to handle PPC for them. And then they need someone still to help out with kind of the day-to-day operational stuff. The challenge that we see is sometimes and I've had this experience myself, is, you can go out and get VAs or bring different people onto your team, but you don't always have transparency about what's going on. And there's still a lot of management that needs to go on, in some cases, micromanagement, to kind of figure out what's actually happening and updates. And so essentially what we did is we tried to productize this service as much as possible by creating a very easy, user-friendly ticketing portal. So anytime you as a seller, Logan, let's just say you have some kind of issue, you just have to come into the portal, tell us, hey, here's what I'm dealing with and what you want done. So that could be like, hey guys, I want to update the title on this listing, or hey, this listing is search suppressed, get it unsuppressed. And you just tell us that outcome. And then we're going to go and deal with everything from there. So essentially we just push for updates, and you get an update as a seller every 24 hours as we make progress on that ticket. But we're going to exhaust all the options that we have to get that resolution for you. And you get to track it all through our portal. Let me see. Do you want me to show the portal? I've got kind of my demo one pulled up as well.
Yeah, go ahead. Click
Let me see. All right, I'm going to
pull it there, and then I'll add it.
Try to share my screen here. Share the screen. I've got to find it here. All right. Let's see. All right. So this is kind of, is it pulled up? Can you see it all right?
Yep. All good.
It's really straightforward to use, but like I said, you literally just come in here. Anytime you have an issue or something you want us to tackle, you literally click submit a ticket, and then it's as simple as filling out this form to tell us what you want done. So you give us the marketplace and account name if you have multiple accounts that you're running. I'll pretend I don't for the sake of this. And then you give us kind of a category and subcategory for the issue. So for example, you tell us, hey, I have an inactive listing, suppressed listing, give us any ASINs, shipment IDs, order IDs. And then the way we operate is you can submit unlimited tickets to our team. So when you do submit a ticket, you can choose to put it to the back of the queue, the front, or mark it, do this ASAP to prioritize it. And last two things, you give it a subject line. So, just say, hey, we have a suppressed listing, and just describe the outcome down here. That's pretty much it. I mean, it's very straightforward, right? You hit submit, and then our agent will eventually acknowledge it. and then you'll get an update every 24 hours. You can always see all the tickets you have in the queue in one place. So it'll literally show all the tickets here. It'll show the status on the right-hand side, which these are all my demo ones. So they just show submitted, but from what you'd see submitted, in progress, waiting Amazon, blah, blah, blah. So yeah.
Love it. Yeah, it's a super sleek system, very easy to follow, great user interface. I love it. Is there any kind of problems that you guys would not be able to handle, or can you really do anything?
Well, so two things we don't offer. We don't support for like we don't do advertising, right? Advertising and strategy. That's why we don't consider ourselves a traditional kind of Amazon agency. So we stay away from that stuff, and we don't do content creation, graphic design. Aside from that, we really can cover just about anything that's going to come up within, in terms of like problems or just day-to-day operations within your Amazon account. That being said, of course, there are kind of those nuanced issues that we can't help with. So I'll give you an example. Like I've had quite a few people talk to me about, oh, I've been locked out of my account, fully locked out. The admin has been locked out of their account. Well, in that case, it's going to be very, very hard for us to come in and troubleshoot and do anything to help that seller out, because it really needs all the personal information of that person who opened the account in the first place. So we don't really have any leverage there. Those are kind of the toughest ones, is if there is no longer access to the account, or if there's something where we can only submit appeals and it has to be through the admin's email and they don't have access to their Amazon account at all. Besides that, I mean, pretty much we can help with anything. The other one I do get questions on, there are issues that are tougher than, some issues that are quite a bit tougher. So people ask all the time, can you guys help with removal of negative reviews? The answer is yes and no. I mean, yes, we can, and we can go through your reviews, look for any that are maybe fraudulent or are violating terms of service, and open cases to get them removed. That being said, Amazon's made it very sticky and very challenging to get those removed. So, the success rate there is not as high as something else where we know we just need to put in the time and the elbow grease to get it resolved, like a listing update or a brand name change, right? Trying to think of another example. Yeah, I mean, buy box issues. That's another one I would just say, buy box issues, we can help if there are glitches or certain things that are very easy to troubleshoot, call out, and then resolve. Aside from that, though, as we know, the buy box is determined by a number of different factors that Amazon doesn't really like to make officially public. We kind of have a sense of what they are, whether it's like your account health score, the quality of, the reviews perhaps, or the price point. All these go into that. It's generally algorithmic though. So unless there's a clear glitch or problem that we can troubleshoot and resolve, there's not a ton we can do outside of that, other than giving you kind of that guidance as a seller, like, hey, you might want to try reducing your price or this or that. So
cool. Sweet. Looks like we got a couple comments here. Cisco asks, do you know how the name Seller Candy came into creation?
Flipping with Cisco, love it. Good question. I don't know the official answer to that, actually, which I probably should. I think it had to do with something sweet in a world that is, oftentimes very sour when it comes to dealing with lots of canned messages. But yeah, good question. I'll get back to you on that, flipping it with Cisco.
And then we got Phil here, Phil by Amazon. Thanks for running through this. Absolutely. Cool. So yeah, we'll get to pricing in just a minute. Another question I have is, do you guys handle reimbursements?
Yeah, so reimbursements is another great opportunity. It's something that we do handle as a standalone service as well. And it's a bit, for a lot of sellers, there's kind of an educational component there, because maybe you're doing certain parts of the reimbursement process. Like the easiest one when I was selling, the only one that I ever went after was lost or missing from inbound shipments, because it's very identifiable, right? You see the shipment, you see the missing units, and then you can file a case right there. There are a ton of other opportunities, though, where Amazon's lost inventory that you are eligible probably for some sort of reimbursement. So what we look at about 16 different areas by dumping out a bunch of reports from your Amazon account. So the short answer here is yes, we can assist with the reimbursement stuff. The context that I'll give is, if you've never been doing anything in terms of reimbursements, it's definitely something you want to look into, depending how long you've been selling and how big your account is. There could be a pretty quick win there, because we can go back retroactively. Amazon gives us the ability to go back between 6 and 18 months to look for some of those discrepancies. So yeah, and it's performance based. So the nice thing is that you don't pay anything unless we actually get you reimbursed. So that's just an important thing to call out.
Yeah. What percentage do you guys charge?
It's 25%.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Anyone
Yeah,
who's
pretty
not
standard
with a
industry
reimbursement
wide.
service needs to do it. Like you're literally missing out on free money, and companies, whether it's Seller Candy or someone else, most of them are only going to charge you if they make money. So Seller Candy, for example, he's saying the rate is 25%. So if they find you $0, they make $0. But if they find you 1,000, they take 250, but you get $750 that you would have lost regardless. So it's literally free money. Everyone should sign up for that.
Yeah,
So
it's
Phil
definitely
asked about
it's a no-brainer.
your pricing. So if you want to go over your pricing
Pricing.
tier, that'd be great.
Yeah, the way it works, and I'm happy to chat with anyone about this too later on, but is we allow you to submit unlimited tickets, and you can go check out our website for some of the pricing options. But we're very much so a subscription style service. Essentially, the biggest, so it's month to month, which makes it really nice and flexible. The biggest determinant between kind of what your monthly pricing is. Oh, did I lose you, Logan? I slowed
Nope,
down for
you're
a second
good.
on my
You're
side.
good.
Cool. Is how many simultaneous things we're working on at any given time. So we start around the $600 a month price point, and then if you need more bandwidth than that, we go up from there. But you can submit unlimited tickets. It starts at 2 simultaneous tasks and then goes up from there. That just means we're working on 2 things at any time. As soon as we finish or resolve one of those, we go and continue down your list to open up the next one and work through that as well.
Cool. So yeah, it really depends on how much you need done, and we do have a special offer as well. I'll put it in a bit. But Phil, if you're interested in signing up with them, DM me because you're in my private group, and I have a special offer for you guys with Seller Candy. Cool. So let's see. Phil says, "Have you ever ran into issues on seller accounts from submitting too many tickets?"
I personally haven't seen that. From submitting too many tickets or opening too many cases, I haven't seen that personally. I would think that it would have to be a ridiculously large volume of tickets. So if you give me context, I'm happy to kind of think about it, but I haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
That would suck, though. That would not be a fun
Yeah.
issue to deal with.
Not at all. All right. If you guys have
Awesome.
more questions, go ahead and throw those in the chat. We'll get them answered for you. I'll go ahead and post a link here if anyone does want to get signed up with Seller Candy. And then we also have code Logan50 to get you a little bit of a discount.
Yep, Logan's got the deal. The nice thing too is all of our stuff is it's month to month. So we do have some of our clients, they'll stack up a couple of issues, have us work for maybe 1, 2, 3 months on those issues, and obviously we hope that we've given you enough value to keep you around ongoing. But we do have people that sometimes are in that middle ground area where they only have a couple issues and they're still growing. It's totally fine to also use us for a few months, pause, come back, and all that jazz as well.
Cisco says, do you guys primarily work with arbitrage or PL or wholesale?
Yeah, that's a great question. We're all across the board. So, what I mentioned earlier, because we don't do any PPC stuff or content creation, we actually are non-competitive to agencies. So not only do we work with sellers directly, and that's all across the board, private label, wholesale, OA, RA, a mix of any of those. We also work with agencies directly, aggregators. So we're used really across the board. I normally see that a lot of the sellers that we work with there are quite a few that I've talked to that are starting with OARA. Maybe they do kind of the traditional thing of that's their base point and then start launching their private label products. And that's something we can totally support, right? So we do know that there's unique problems to OA and RA sellers, but we've worked with pretty much everything. We have about 250 plus Amazon accounts that we have some kind of daily interaction with. And some of those are very small sellers all the way up to very, very, very large brands that you would recognize. So the cool thing is we have a lot of context from working with so many different accounts.
Yeah. Jeff asked, what are the most common issues that you resolve?
Great question, Jeff. So I was talking to our team about this earlier today, but we had, I think, maybe like 15,000 tickets submitted to us last year, and about a third of them were for some kind of catalog related issue. So it might not be, I don't know how pertinent this will be to OARA these days, but private label sellers especially, even if you're the brand owner, so challenging to just do things that would be seemingly simple or that were simple 3, 4, 5 years ago. Updating title, images, brand name and UPCs, those are big issues. But Amazon's made it a lot stickier. So our team's dealt with quite a few of those types of updates. In the mix there, we also have a lot of search suppressed, so suppression issues, anything inactive listing related. But I'd say that's kind of the biggest single category. Beyond that, of course, lots of account health stuff, lots of suspected IP violations and IP violations. Used to deal with a lot of drop shipping Section 3 violations in the past. Not many anymore. A lot of people that I've talked to who I know were doing that have moved away from that model. I don't know if that's changed. I'm not as familiar with that space, but I certainly don't see that many anymore.
So Phil said that he had a seller friend who had account issues from a service submitting too many tickets that were going as far back as Amazon allowed. That's interesting.
So the only thing I've heard there, Phil, is I know with Amazon, I've heard in certain circumstances with the revenue, like the reimbursement related stuff, if you are filing cases constantly, like let's say you have a big Amazon account and you're constantly filing reimbursement requests, even if maybe they're not really eligible, like you're just filing them just because, or you have some kind of tool that's doing it on your behalf. I have heard instances where Amazon will then restrict or limit the account from filing those requests in the future, which is obviously problematic. With us, that's why we specifically only file cases on ones where we can clearly demonstrate that there is an eligible reimbursement opportunity to prevent that from becoming an issue. That's the only time I've heard about that kind of thing.
Seems smaller sellers get slaps on the wrist when it comes to certain complaints or violations, but larger sellers get the book thrown at them. What are you guys seeing there?
Yeah, good call out, Ruben. To be honest, I don't think that it's really limited to small or large seller. I mean, there's, a lot of times I do talk to quite a few very, very large sellers, and I'll tell you, they have, and I will say that when people get on calls with me, a lot of times they already have issues. So that does, I'm filtering out the people that maybe are not having any issues at all. But my point being is I talk to small and large sellers, and both of them have a lot of very, very similar issues. Certainly it depends a little bit on their business model and the type of products that they're selling. But they're, Amazon, because of the nature of the beast that it is, they don't really have a problem with shutting down a massive account. They're not going to give it too much special attention just because it's doing millions of dollars a year, unless you're really, a Nike or something, a massive brand that can throw around its weight. I still see that generally you're still at the mercy of Amazon in many ways. Mm-hmm. There are certain programs, and Logan, I don't know if you have experience with any of these, but that do, part of their kind of sales process is saying, hey, we'll give you an account manager that, is here at Amazon to help you with things. I've personally worked with a number of brands that have had access to those, and very mixed results. You can get an amazing account manager. You can get a not so amazing one. I think the problem is that I've seen, they're always cycled off your account every 6 to 12 months, depending on the program. So even when you have an amazing one, they have to go off your account to somewhere else after a couple months anyway. So that's kind of the long-winded answer. But generally, I see both small and large sellers, unfortunately, still face lots of issues in the same way.
Yeah. Our second account, Alpha Candles, we have a dedicated account rep right now. So it is helpful. There's something, like, he is a helpful, good account rep, but there's some things that he just can't do because of the nature of Amazon. Outside of his control, he doesn't have access to it. So sometimes it kind of defeats the point. But
that's the big challenge, right? It's like even the people that work at Amazon are so siloed out. It's like there isn't a magic wand even for those people, right? I've had one scenario where I when I was working for a past company that I literally had a contact who is just an account manager, and we had a suspension on our account. I called him, and he literally walked down to the desk in the office of the suspension team because they do not have any call in. This was years ago, by the way. And he got the guy to manually review it after 3 months, and it did actually end up getting reinstated. Now that could have just been a fluke, but that's not something that happens very often, right? And I think I wouldn't expect to have that happen again.
Were dropshipper tickets headaches?
Well, it depends. I mean, yes, I guess it depends. It depends. If you're doing something fraudulent, then yeah, the reality is like, we're not going to be able to do a ton. If you've been doing something fraudulent, we can't, like, we might still be able to help, but probably not. So we do get people that come to us and say, "Hey, I violated terms of service. This is my problem. Can you get my account reinstated?" Well, okay, we could try, but it's probably unlikely. Where I'm going with this is with the drop shipping ones. The biggest things that I see or that I ask when I get on calls with people who have seen those violations are: one, is this the first time you've done this or had this violation? Yes or no. If it's not, how many of you had? And if it's more than two, there's it's solid chance we're not going to be able to get your account reinstated, because you've now demonstrated, hey, not only did you do this, get it reinstated once, but you're doing it again. So you're clearly violating it multiple times. That makes it increasingly hard. If it's your first drop shipping violation, let's say, we've seen more success with that. And then it just depends. Like, if generally we will try to find ways to call out this specific, let's say, if we're dealing with section 3, I think is a fraudulent activities. It's like if you put in a tracking number, for example, that to say something was shipped when it actually hasn't shipped yet, or was shipped on a different tracking number. If we can't find those, or you don't tell us which ones which orders you've actually done that with, that we can call out, yeah, those are even more problematic. So anyway, my point being is, like, yes, it can be. They also can be easy if the person, it's their first time. They say, hey, we're switching our model. We just want to get it reinstated. Blah blah blah. That makes it easier.
Yeah, I think the better solution is just don't drop ship.
Well, I mean, I agree.
Do you have a favorite Amazon ticket win? Is there one that stands out to you?
All right, I'm trying to think of one. There's one guy that I remember. This was a couple of months back. He was selling a successful account in Amazon. Their Amazon US account, good, everything's squared away. But their European account, I think they had UK, Germany, Italy, France, something like that. They had a couple markets in the UK that were all pretty successful. But their UK account had been suspended 5 years before. So it was like 5 full years, and they tried all these different things. And after pretty much they hired us to go in and resolve it, and expected it. I didn't, honestly, I was questioning if it was doable, because the longer out you get, the worse. And we were able within like 2 weeks, a ridiculously short time, to get the account reinstated. And the guy was like over the moon. Now, that being said, of course, I'm highlighting a major win, but, we see everything in between, and there's a lot of frustrations in there too. Amazon's not always fun to deal with, and it just takes, someone who's going to persist and kind of work the system as best they can to get things resolved. But yeah, we do have a lot of cool wins that get you excited.
Cool. All right, guys, last call for questions. If you got any, drop them in the chat. We'll get them answered for you.
Yeah, keep them coming. These are great questions. Anyone else? All right.
All right, no more
I will just say, yeah, if anyone does have questions that come up later on, feel free to go to our website, sellercandy.com. There's like a get quote form on there. If you fill that out, someone from our team will get in touch with you, and we can hop on a call, either myself or someone from our team, and we'll normally talk to you, answer any questions that come up. If you have something specifically related to your account, we're happy to talk to you and try to troubleshoot, walk through it with you, and see if it's something that we're able to assist with. So always there to help out.
Awesome. All right, guys, I dropped the link in the chat again, and I'll put it in the description after this video. If you do want to sign up with Seller Candy, check out that link. Use code Logan50 to get a bit of a discount. Ben, thank you so much for joining us, taking the time to answer questions and explain your service.
Absolutely. Thanks, Logan. Thanks, everyone, for watching.
All right, have a good night, everyone.